am so grateful to be here tonight to share my story with you. It's taken me a very long time to get here, a journey that truly feels like it's been 1,000 years. My wish is that I can give you a nugget, share a few of my aha moments, and it will help you to find your courage to make that shift in your life. And I believe that it all starts with owning your own story. And I stand here today and I'm going to own it all. I've worked for the past 22 years as a kinesiologist and personal trainer. I've specialized in helping people to transform their lives, both physically and emotionally. And I've absolutely loved my job. I loved impacting people. And I was basically paid to solve problems, so I was a problem solver. I liked to get to the root and fix things. I never shied away from a challenge. I would dig in. I would find a strength that I found just because I wanted to tackle the obstacle that was given to me. Some people call me very stubborn, and I like to go persistent. 4 years ago, though, this was not the case. Life stopped me completely in my tracks. It left me paralyzed in fear and stuck and unsure of what to do next. Here's a picture of our family only a few short years ago. My husband Brad and our 2 boys, they are now 18 and 17 years old. Like a lot of families, we had a very busy life, full of sports, jobs, fun, memories, holidays, lots of things that we did together. This is one of our last family pictures that we have. This picture was before drugs took over our life. Something we did not plan on, never expected, but it found its way into our home. It stole our boys, it tore our family apart, and it robbed us of happiness and took away years that we will never get back. But I'm not here to share their story, I'm here to share my story and how I learned to survive and eventually move forward and move from chaos to clarity in my life. At the lowest points of my battle, I remember sitting on the floor, curled up in a ball, just stuck and frozen, trying to figure out how this was my life. What did I do wrong? How did it happen, and why me? I was ashamed and weighed down with guilt and blame, and so scared of the judgment of others. I had no idea where to go next, and that's because there was nowhere else to go. We lost friends in the process, and we became extremely isolated. I knew that I had to do something different, and I was tired of being stuck and feeling helpless. But I knew that I didn't have the skills to move forward on my own because I tried. I decided to reach out and ask for more help. I started reading and writing and being very vulnerable because I knew I had to ask. I knew I'd find someone along the path who could help me. I had to find a better way to handle what we had been given. At this point, all aspects of our boys' lives had been affected, and our lives included everything from school, job, health, sports, family, extended family. Every single thing had been impacted. It was a complete chaos at that point. We did counseling, my husband and I did counseling, support groups, dealt with the police more times than I could ever count. We reached out to agencies, and no one had any real solutions for us. So imagine at this point, as a parent, where we were at, and being told that there is nothing more that you can do. Because our kids were older than 14 years old, and they could decide if they wanted any help. And that's the law in Canada. It was a very, very, very dark time. Never in my life have I ever felt so helpless. That's not what our role is supposed to be as a parent. It was like watching a train wreck every single day, not being able to look away from it, not being able to get away from it. If we had truly done everything possible that we could do to fix it, and I honestly believe that we had, then wouldn't the problem be gone? And that was my first aha moment, because it wasn't my problem to fix anymore. I didn't create it, and I didn't start it. The only thing I could choose to do was how I would handle it. In owning my own story, I understood what part was my story and what wasn't mine to own. I had to learn to let go of my very false sense of control, of trying to find answers and reasons of why this was happening. There were no answers. There were no answers. It didn't matter how many times I asked the question, there were no answers. The only thing left to do was to control myself. This quote spoke to me in a very dark time, in that the only decision that we get to make is what role we play in our lives, by Brene Brown. That became my second aha moment, because I was ready to play a bigger role in my life. And during this time, I learned two very valuable lessons. One, we were not alone. Not at all. The more I reached out, the more I found people who were affected by substance abuse. I knew I had to find the courage somewhere to be able to speak to people, to speak to other parents, to try and help other parents to come forward, because so many people were hiding in shame. I just didn't know where I would find that courage and to make it over that hurdle. But then came probably one of my biggest aha moments. Who could possibly judge me harder than I had judged myself? This was impossible. In the past 4 years, I had completely stripped myself down and tore myself completely apart. I finally learned that the more I shared my story, the more I felt a physical shift in power. Power in controlling myself, not power of the situation. I was finding my internal strength, my clarity, regaining my confidence, and slowly building my courage. Now I have a question for you. What story are you holding on to because you're too scared to share it, to own it, for fear of what other people will think or say about you? I can tell you that if you don't own it, it will own you. And if it owns you, it controls you. It prevents you from living, from growing, from changing, and from experiencing life. You may believe that you're holding on to your story to protect yourself, and what you're actually doing is the complete opposite. Holding on to your story forces you to play small. It stops you from being your true, authentic self, from using the gifts that you were given to share with and impact others. When you hide and limit yourself from the painful memories, which is what we tend to do, you're actually doing is you're numbing yourself from experiencing the joys of life. See, you can't disengage from life and protect yourself from selective emotions. It just doesn't work that way. When you hide from your story, it truly owns you. I decided at that point that I would make my journey about other people. And it gave my experience a purpose. And once I found a purpose, the lights were on and my courage continued to grow. Don't spend your life avoiding the aha moments, because they're critical. They're the times when you decide to stay or move forward, to settle or choose to live for more. I like to use the analogy that we spend our life living in this long hallway, where we have multiple doors that we can open that represent opportunities that are available to us. We can either live our life in the hallway with no change, no growth, and little fulfillment, or we can choose to open up a door. There will be good and bad behind every single door. There is no perfect door. We tend to spend so much time in the hallway because we don't believe that we have the courage to make the change that we want to do in our life. And I can tell you that if you are looking for your courage to make a change, you won't find it by looking. You find it by doing. By taking action steps, right and wrong choices, you will grow and you will gain courage and you will learn to open more doors. You can't create change in your life until you have your aha moment. You have to face it, stand up to it, recognize it, and decide to change it. My boys are finding their way. I live in faith and pray that this is part of their story. Every holiday and birthday is different now, and it's a challenge. It is not what I wanted, not what I asked for, and not what I envisioned for my life, but it is what I have. I have been asked if I stopped caring because I stopped trying to fix the problem. It's the complete opposite. I never stopped caring, and I never stopped worrying. I simply stopped owning what wasn't mine. Ironically, the more I didn't own their choices or take responsibility for their decisions, the more our relationship started to improve. I don't live with hate or anger. That doesn't serve anyone. Instead, I have moments of sadness when I think of what might have been. And again, I can't live in the past. I can't live in the future. I can only live in the present, and that's right now. And that takes a lot of practice to do that. It's a long road ahead for all of us. I want to be an example. The reason why I'm doing this, I want to be an example for them that when you choose to own your own choices and own your own life, that you can truly move forward and create change, because it is what they will have to do as well. I love my boys, and I want only what is best for them. Neither one of them is at home with us right now, and they are finding their own way. I pray that every day that the right person will come into their path who will have that effect and impact on them and help them have that aha moment that they can create the shift in their life. I want them to have a life full of options, choices, love, and safety. And that's my story for you. Where can you release the judgment of yourself and of others? Can you own your own story? Can you share it? What if someone, somewhere, needed to learn from you? And from the story that you were holding on to. Stop playing in the hallway. Stop trying to be safe and protected because you're not. Own it, or it will own you. Allow yourself to have the aha moment that you truly need to move forward, because life is truly waiting for you. Thank you.